Sheriff K.P. Gibson, Acadia Parish. Sheriff.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Hey, dude, it's Dave Baker. How are you?
Good, Dave. Good.
Y'all hanging in there?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad.
Hey, did you guys get a really big like glaze of ice, or was it mostly sleet like what we had here?
It was mostly sleet. With some areas, we did have some pretty good icing, though.
Power outages aren't too bad, though?
Very limited right now. It looks like it's under 500
Awesome.
parish-wide.
Awesome. Okay, we've got a cut-in that's coming up here in a little less than 3 minutes. So we'll talk about roadways. We'll talk about, I think you guys have a stay-at-home order that's starting at 8. So we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll talk about some road conditions and anything else you want to tell the residents of Acadia Parish. Sound cool?
Sounds good.
All right, talk to you in just a couple minutes. Just stand by.
All right.
The conditions still remain.
Dave Baker, it is definitely brighter out here.
Like we used it a couple of times, and then Damien likes to like bring. Good afternoon, Acadiana. Thanks for joining us. We'll be getting back to your regularly scheduled program here in just a few minutes. But first, as we continue our winter storm coverage, we're joined now live with Acadia Parish Sheriff K.P. Gibson. Sheriff, we were talking a little while ago. It sounds like you got a lot more sleet than the freezing rain, kind of like what we had here in Lafayette Parish. How are the road conditions there, and how is Acadia Parish holding on?
Well, obviously, the roads are in very bad condition because of the icy roads, but a lot of our folks are staying off of the road, which is making it a lot easier for us in law enforcement, not having to work a lot of crashes or vehicles in the ditch type incidents. But overall, it really is not a very bad situation for us. I mean, it's been limited on calls. We have, a handful of cars in the ditch. Power outages have not been too bad. We believe it's less than 500 parish wide, which is pretty good. And just since we've spoken, the pontoon bridge in Esterwood has been shut down as of about 15, 20 minutes ago.
Okay. Now, you also have a stay-at-home order that's going to be going into effect a little bit later tonight at 8 o'clock. Can you tell us a little bit more about what that entails, and how's that going to affect other workers that may need to get in and out of Acadia Parish?
Sure. What we're asking folks to do really is just stay at your residence, stay in shelter. Essential workers are people who need to get to work. We believe and support that aspect of everything that's going on from there. we're going to ask that you, if you can avoid going, getting out during the night, please do so, because we really do believe that this evening that the weather's going to, the roadways will get a lot worse than they were last night, and actually as they are currently now. So we really just believe if we work together and stay home if you can, do so. Obviously, if you have to go to work or an essential worker, we totally support that aspect, but ask you to please be careful and realize this is not something that we're used to driving in.
Everything else is still running smoothly at the Sheriff's Department. If people need help, they can still call 911?
By all means, we have our full array of officers, deputies on patrol, as well as our remainder of our staff that is here and ready to assist in any way that we can.
Excellent. Well, Sheriff, thanks for joining us this afternoon, and let us know if there's anything we can do to help. We'll be talking to you a little bit later on. Sheriff KP Gibson from Acadia Parish. Well, we have an update right now on what's happening over in St. Mary Parish. We were able to speak with Sheriff Blaze Smith. He tells us their crews are actively working on the overpasses on Highway 90 in Morgan City, hopefully to get those reopened. He also says that there are power outages in the parish, and we wanted to know that crews are working to get that power restored to those areas. Also, just a few minutes ago, we were able to speak with Lafayette Mayor President Josh Guillory. We asked Guillory about the current conditions across the city.
The conditions still remain the same. A lot of roads out there that are frozen. Our departments are working around the clock 24/7. Our police department is watching some pretty rough areas, bridges that are of concern. The overpass on Ambassador had some ice on it. So really just looking for areas where our traffic roads and bridge department can go and spray salt and brine on the areas where it needs. But look, the conditions are still rough out there, and today's Monday, so we're believing that the conditions are going to stay the same throughout today and even into tomorrow. So we're going to take it hour by hour, but police department's doing a great job. First responders doing a great job. LUS did report that there are very minimal outages, which is good. We're thankful for. But as the temperatures rise above freezing, the concern is that pipes will bust. But look, we got a plan in place. We're going to respond accordingly. But our first responders doing a great job. So it's very important for everybody to keep the roadways clear and let our first responders do their job.
Well, we've been training a Southern girl on winter weather, and that would be our Katie Lopez. She's been outside our KATC studios all morning long. Katie, what do things look like now?
All right, Dave Baker, it is definitely brighter out here than it was this morning and even a little bit earlier whenever I was out here. But I want you guys to check out all of this that's on the ground now. So whoa, see, crunchy. See, before it kind of felt more like snow, right? Well, now it's starting to get that crunch to it. And I think that's why everyone's telling everyone, you stay off the roads, stay at home, be safe, do those kinds of things, because, you don't really know kind of what you're getting yourself into. Now, Dave, a while ago, you were being very mean to me. I don't know if you were being serious or not, but telling me that my tires were frozen to the concrete. So now I'm trying to figure out, are my tires really, there's a broom against my car, but are my tires really frozen and can I get out? So definitely, guys, Southern girl here, as many of you born and raised here, we're kind of just trying to figure all of this out, right? How to get through it. Again, guys, you have pictures, send them to us. Put them on our Facebook page, it's KATC. You can also send them to our email account. That's news@katctv.com. We can't get everywhere because we're really trying to stay safe, practice what we preach. So we want you guys to send those to us. So go ahead and do that. We want to see you guys having fun. I know, Dave, your kids are out there sledding. I know everyone else is having a good time. So send us those pictures, those videos. We want to share them with everyone else. But for now, Dave, I'm getting kind of cold, so I'm going to go in.
All right. Thanks, Katie. We also just getting in that the Mississippi River Bridge on I-10 is now closed because of that ice that's out there. Also, we've checked in with CLECO. They're reporting a little more than 8,000 customers who are without power. Those appear to be along the Highway 90 corridor there from New Iberia to Baldwin. Checking the Slimco areas now here in Lafayette Parish. The company has a little more than 70 customers that are in the dark. And Acadia Parish, that number stands at around 350. Meteorologist Daniel Phillips, we were just seeing Katie Lopez outside. She said that broom leaned up against the back of her car. I know that's that broom that she uses to fly over everything when the roadways are kind of rough out there.
It's how she's able to avoid those slick roadways and get about town. That's how she does it. We've got, and just went and stood outside right where Katie was a little while ago, and Starting to see a little bit of melting out on the roadways. But don't get too hopeful for that, because what's going to happen is that's going to melt a little bit, and that the temperatures are staying very cold. They're going to be very cold here tonight. That's another layer that's just going to freeze. I think that travel tomorrow morning may even be worse than what it was this morning, because you're going to have more black ice out there. Temperatures still have not gotten above freezing today. In fact, they haven't really gotten out of the 20s today. They've kind of hung around here so far. It's about 26 right now in Lafayette and Ville Platte. You haven't seen a whole lot of movement from those temperatures at all. Jennings, New Iberia, both at about 27 degrees. And the clouds are trying to thin out. The sun's trying to come through. It's had mixed success in doing so, but we've still got quite a bit of cloud cover that we've got to get through. You can see that cloud deck stretching all the way out over towards Houston. But again, a little bit of clearing trying to get into the area. The precipitation now pushed well out over towards the east, not having to deal with any kind of active weather. So we're done with the sleet. We're done with the freezing rain, the snow. That has now pushed its way out. We're kind of left with these bitterly cold temperatures, and really, really lucky here this morning that we ended up with more sleet than we did freezing rain. Going into this forecast, even as late as last night, it looked like we were on tap for maybe a quarter to a half inch worth of freezing rain. And then as it came through this morning, it was less freezing rain and more so sleet, which means we didn't get as much of the ice accumulation. And what ended up happening is we ended up getting a burst of very, very cold air. And this is what we were looking at here last night. This is what's called a skew T. And essentially what this does, this red line here, is going to measure temperature as you go up in the atmosphere. So the higher up you go in the sky, that's what you're looking at on these levels, and then down towards the bottom of your screen, that's going to be closer to the surface. This blue line more or less is going to be the freezing line, and you've got several little areas that I'm going to point out to you. You've got an area that's below freezing, where you're going to see a lot of those clouds develop, and then the precipitation that's coming out of here is going to be snow. But then it gets to this layer that's above freezing, and that snow starts to melt just a little bit, and then notice right at the surface again, you end up below freezing. So you have liquid rain that doesn't have enough time to refreeze, hits the ground, and then freezes on contact. That's freezing rain. This is what it looked like last night, and this is a classic signature for freezing rain. It's why everyone was very concerned, worried about the possibility for ice accumulation. Then came this morning, and you got a big time round of cold air up in the atmosphere that worked its way into the area. Notice that the area is above freezing. That's a much shallower layer than what you were looking at earlier. The blue line remains your freezing line, and then there's a lot more air that's below freezing, giving it another chance to freeze. Now, it wasn't able to refreeze the entire way again, so you didn't get snow, but you did end up with a lot of sleet because that warm layer was just a little bit thinner, or a lot thinner actually, than what it was looking into last night. So that's why, as we went through the forecast yesterday and came in this morning expecting the heavy freezing rain, but because of that colder air getting its way in, we actually ended up with a decent amount of sleet, which helps with ice accumulation, doesn't help at all with temperatures, though, which are staying bitterly cold, dangerously cold, in fact, as we look ahead into tomorrow. And let's talk about the feel-like temperature real quick. 13 in Lafayette, 15 in Opelousas, Alexandria at about 11. This is going to be the important one to remember. We're going to stay below freezing, so pets, pipes, plants, all of those respond to the actual thermometer temperature, which is going to sit down at about 16 degrees tonight. But people, we respond to the wind chill. And here's why. As we go through our day, we kind of lose out heat. That's why you put a sweater on. You're trying to trap some of that heat a little bit closer to your body. Now, when the winds are calm, there's not a whole lot of mixing. You kind of keep that warmer air around you. So no wind, 20 degrees, more or less feels like 20 degrees. And then you start to add a little bit of wind, and we're fairly windy out there today. So instead of that warm air sitting right around your body, it's getting pushed off, and colder air is replacing it that's coming in along with the wind. So you don't have that insulating warm layer anymore, which then speeds up the process of losing heat. So instead of feeling like it's 20 degrees because you've got that little warm layer, you actually feel like it's 4 degrees. Your body's responding to it as if it would be 4 degrees outside, and that's where we're going to be sitting a little bit later on tonight. So the wind chill values are going to be the most dangerous. This is what our lows are going to do. Single digits in Alexandria northwards. If you look through the northern parts of Acadiana, this is north of the interstate, you're down into the low teens. Wind chill down at about 4, 16 along the I-10 corridor, wind chill of about 5, and then down along the immediate coastline, wind chill of 9, Temperatures sitting at about 16 degrees. That's dangerous cold that's going to be out there. So check on your neighbors. If you know they don't have heat, make sure they've got enough blankets. If you've lost power, make sure that everyone has enough blankets and jackets to make it all the way through the night. Cold is going to be dangerous here as we get further and further into the day. We got another cutting coming up at the top of the hour. We'll be with you. We'll send you back to regular programming. It's 12:11 right now. It's 26 degrees.